Alright guys, so Feral Interactive, after bringing Rome, Medieval 2, and Empire to mobile, have finally ported Napoleon Total War as well, which feels like the next big classic Total War people have been waiting to see on a touchscreen. It's a full-on Napoleon experience on mobile with loads of improvements, and after spending proper time with it, I've got a lot to say about what's included, how the campaign and battles feel, what works brilliantly, and where it still falls a bit short. So in this video, I'll go through everything you need to know about the mobile port of Napoleon Total War, my personal review, and what I'd like to see next. So what's included here is basically the complete Napoleon package and not a stripped down mobile edition. You get a full set of core campaigns that made the PC version such a classic in the first place. That means the main story-driven Napoleon campaign, which takes you through his rise and the major theaters of war, plus the grand European experience that's all about managing an empire across multiple fronts. It definitely feels and plays like the real game, just compressed into a format you can pick up anywhere, anytime. Also, a huge bonus for me is that the port ships with all the DLC campaigns and faction packs, which is a big deal because a lot of Napoleon's best variety lives in the extra content. You're not missing the Peninsular War, the Coalition campaigns, or the smaller scenario-driven expansions that give the game its replayability. The playable faction roster is all here, so you're getting the full range of European powers with their proper unit lineups and campaign positions. Plus, you also get a playable Denmark and the Ottomans, which is huge and previously only accessible through mods on the PC version of the game. The battle side is also complete. You're not limited to quick skirmishes or a cut down version of the original game. You have the full battle suite with land and naval engagements, proper army rosters, and the same tactical weight that made Napoleon feel distinct from Empire. So content-wise, Feral Interactive have done this the right way. Everything that mattered in Napoleon is here, and it's here in one place. If you've never played Napoleon before, mobile is now a totally valid way to experience the full game, and if you have played it before, this feels like coming back to a familiar classic that's been repackaged properly for modern mobile play. Now, in terms of how the game actually plays, starting on the campaign side of things, this port feels way better than I expected a 2010 Total War to feel on touchscreen. The UI is clean, readable, and genuinely beautiful to look at, and that matters in a game where you spend so much time planning moves, managing provinces, and staring at tooltips. The royal blue and gold theme fits Napoleon perfectly and gives the whole campaign layer a premium, almost remaster-like vibe. It also makes the information density of Napoleon feel less intimidating than it does on PC because everything is laid out with clarity instead of being buried in clunky old menus. The basic flow of a Napoleon campaign carries over really well here as well. Turn management is smooth, diplomacy is easy to navigate, and empire building feels natural with touch controls. The 4 quick access buttons on the campaign UI are a great addition because that lets you bounce between your key management screens without digging through layers of menus, and you can genuinely play turns quickly when you want to and slow down into micro when you need to. It captures that classic Napoleon rhythm where you are constantly balancing economy, recruitment, and positioning across multiple frontiers. All that being said, there are still a few areas to improve, I would say. Unit grouping and army movement still need some refinement. Moving full formations around the campaign map or setting up multi-army pushes can get a little fiddly, especially when you're trying to do precise positioning near borders or choke points, and the tools work, but they don't always feel as crisp as they should, and you can tell this is one area where PC mouse control still has an edge. It's absolutely not a deal breaker, but in a game as strategic as Napoleon, you want to have as much control over everything as possible. Another issue is adjusting tax levels, which you do only by double tapping cities, which gets really annoying, honestly. Sometimes it takes a couple of attempts, sometimes it registers when you don't want to, and over a long campaign, that becomes a repetitive little battle of its own. The mobile port already proves it can streamline Napoleon's system, so I'd love to see this particular action made a bit smoother in a future update. Personally, I've been bouncing around between campaigns as France, of course, course, you have to, and the Ottomans, which I think is really cool. And honestly, I've had such a great time with both. France is classic Napoleon comfort food. It plays exactly how you remember, fast, aggressive, and constantly juggling fronts. But the Ottomans were the real surprise for me. I always felt like they should be a bigger part of Napoleon's sandbox, and on mobile, they're genuinely a blast to play. The mix of awkward borders, weird diplomatic pressure, and the challenge of modernizing your armies while holding a sprawling empire together makes them one of the most enjoyable factions to campaign with. And it's honestly the kind of playthrough that reminds you how much depth Napoleon has and how much effort Feral Interactive puts into making it feel a bit newer and a bit more polished. Over on the battle side of things though is really where this experience surprised me. They feel smooth, readable, tactical, with touch controls that make issuing orders faster than you'd expect, far more improved compared to previous ports that Feral Interactive worked on, so the UI carries over the same clean, premium styling from the campaign, so unit cards, formations, abilities are all super easy to manage at a glance, and everything essentially clicks. This is one of the most enjoyable Total War battle experiences you can have on a mobile version. In fact, most enjoyable strategy experience, I would say, full stop. There's also some really nice extras baked in as well. Formations that work really great, AI is being responsive, naval battles are of course some of the most memorable, especially on a mobile game like this. It's really amazing. Visually the game looks strong, units and environments are sharp enough in motion, lighting is nice, and the scale of Napoleon's battles holds up well on a smaller screen. It's honestly impressive seeing full line engagements and artillery duels running smoothly on a device that fits in your hand. Now, of course, there are a few issues to mention here. First, on the custom battle side of things, there is no option for winter or snow settings on certain maps, which is a shame because Napoleon's atmosphere thrives on that harsh European setting. It feels like a missing piece, especially when weather options are, usually present. Secondly, and a lot more importantly, unit resolution sometimes dips enough that you notice low resolution models, especially when zooming in, which is a really big shame, honestly. It doesn't ruin battles, but it does pull you out of the immersion of what's going on, because Napoleon is a game that benefits hugely from close-up spectacle. It was honestly kind of disappointing to notice that when I played. The zoom functionality itself is another mixed bag. You can zoom in, but not enough really to get that dramatic battlefield view you're used to on PC, and when you try to push it, performance actually can wobble, which was really surprising. I had a noticeable lag on zoom-heavy moments, and in naval battles it even dipped into a crash for me, which was really unexpected. Naval combat is fun and controls well on mobile, but the game clearly strains more at sea than on land, especially when you're trying to watch the action up close. That's one area where I'd like to see a bit more optimization, because naval battles especially are a huge part of Napoleon's identity. The other big criticism I have here, and honestly I kind of have it for all the mobile ports, is that there's no multiplayer functionality, which is a huge loss because Napoleon's battles are at their best in head-to-head play. There's no photo mode, which feels like a missed opportunity as well when the game still has such a strong visual character. Some smaller audio glitches cropped up for me as well, including one battle where zooming in caused a brief, massive screeching noise and cut my gameplay completely, so there are still some stability quirks lurking in the game. None of this takes away from how good the battles feel overall, but obviously there's just a few bits that still need to be ironed out. But overall, this is absolutely one of the best Total War ports Feral Interactive have done so far. It feels polished, smooth, surprisingly modern for a game that originally came out in 2010. The UI alone is a massive win. It looks premium, it fits the Napoleonic aesthetic perfectly, and it makes the whole experience feel immersive. And I have to say, all of these improvements would carry over so well to the PC version of the game as well, because Napoleon on desktop could benefit hugely from the cleaner presentation and more readable layout. Of course, I do hope that Feral Interactive go a little bit further in some areas. The lack of cut content or new additions also kind of stings a bit here, because modders have shown that Napoleon had unused maps and lots of potential sitting in the files. This port would have been the perfect excuse to bring some of that back. I also think that there's a lot more room to actually add more playable factions, unlocked minor factions, even emergent factions for the player to get access to. So there is so much more that can be done here in this mobile port. Despite all those wishes though, I keep coming back to how strong this core experience on mobile is. Campaigns feel great to play on a touchscreen, battles are shockingly solid, and the game captures that classic Napoleon atmosphere in a way that's easy to sink hours and hours into it without noticing. If Feral Interactive keep going down this road, the next one is obvious. Shogun 2 on mobile would be a perfect fit, maybe the best possible fit out of all the PC Total War catalog. So yeah, I would say Napoleon Mobile is absolutely worth your time. If you're a fan of the game, or if you're a fan of mobile strategy games, it's a proper Total War game in your hands, not a watered down spin-off, and it sets a new bar for strategy ports on mobile. But let me know what you think of the Napoleon Total War mobile port in the comment section below, and what game you want to see next. Subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this, and as always, thanks for watching guys, I'll see you next time.